so it's probably not as scientifically accurate as some AE suns, but you've got to admit, it looks awesome. Hey, and welcome to Makin. I'm revisiting one of my oldest tutorials from my Makin Planet series where I use different techniques to recreate every planet in the solar system. Kicking off that playlist was Making the Sun, where I took a texture map of the sun, applied it to Video Copilot's free orb plugin, and added some glows in VC's Saber. That description cheapens it somewhat, but that was the gist. I had been tempted to look at it again. I'm still working on better solar flares. But then Texturelabs published this fire tutorial. I mean, look at it! Using just a few fractal noise layers along with displacement maps, Brady created a simple reusable fire. The first fake fire I've seen that's truly convincing. And after crying myself to sleep on multiple nights with the knowledge I'll never be as good as Brandy, I thought I have two options. I can either give up visual effects and go learn woodcraft, or I can stand on the shoulders of giants, take Brandon's fire, and rework it to be in zero gravity. After nearly losing my thumb to a wood saw, let's jump into After Effects. So here I am in AE, and I'm not going to send you off to Texturelabs to follow Brandrew's tutorial. I mean, if you want regular fire, then you absolutely should go there. But for the 0G fire, I'll be making changes from the very start, so I'll just talk you through all of the steps here. We'll start with a 1080p comp. I've got mine set to 30 FPS. And I'll go to Layer, New, Camera. And then I'll go to Layer, New, Solid. Make this solid comp sized and click OK. Hit enter and rename this to Sun Tex, as it will become a texture for a sphere. Now go to Effects, Noise and Grain, Fractal Noise. And yeah, I know that you know that I know that I could just search in effects and presets, but then Redditors like Manj would shame me for not using FX Console. But then I'd have to spend each video explaining how to install FX Console. It becomes a whole big thing. And I also know that you know that I know Manj is just joking. We want this fractal noise looking quite flamey. So change the type to Dynamic Twist, up the contrast to 300, and drop the brightness to -10. Hold the Alt key and click on Evolution's stopwatch, and in the expressions area type time times 100, which gives us this automated boiling, writhing animation. Now let's add another solid. Call it Orb. And then go to Effects, Video Copilot, VC Orb. If you don't have Video Copilot's free Orb plugin, the link is in the description. Pause the video here, go install it, and I'll see you back in a moment. Before we do anything more with the Orb effect, go to Layer, New, Null Object. Rename this to Sun Position. Make it a 3D layer. And hit P to expose the position properties. We'll hang lots of things off this. Back to the orb effect and double click on its position to show that in the timeline. Then use the pick whip to link orb's position to the null's position. This allows us to use the null to move the orb. In the effects materials section, drop glossiness and specular to 0. And up illumination to 1. Expand maps. And set the diffuse and illumination maps to your sun text layer. But make sure to set the second drop down to effects and masks. And you can go ahead and turn off the sun text layer's visibility. Now, the next bit is a teeny bit tricky, but not really. I'm going to use a script from Video Copilot called 3D Precompose. The link to download it is in the description below, and like most scripts, it just makes your life a little easier. Holding Ctrl, select your orb and sun text layer, then go to File, Scripts, and either navigate to where you've saved 3D Precompose, or if you've installed it, select it. A pop-up opens. Rename the comp to 3D Source, and check to link the camera properties. And uncheck Leave Existing Copy, and click OK. The script creates a new comp for you, with the layers you selected and with the camera. And when I expand the camera, you can see that all the properties are linked to the original. Now, you can manually do this by creating a comp and copying your layers inside, and as it happens, I need to show you how to do this anyway, but still 3D Precompose is a huge time saver. As you can see, we're getting an error. That's because Orb's position is no longer linked to the null. Right click on your new Comps tab and choose Undock Panel. And lift the timeline up so we can see both the first comp and this one. Then, just use the pick whip to relink the properties. And when you're done, you can drag this comp back into the timeline panel. So now, we've got a 3D source which responds to our camera rotating around it. On the main comp, select the 3D source precomp and go to Effect, Blur and Sharpen, CC Radial Fast Blur, and set the amount to 75. And then double click on the center property so it appears in the timeline. Use the pick whip and select the sun position null, the whole layer. You get an error, but that's fine. Expand the expressions area for the center property, and at the end of the expression add dot to comp with a capital C, brackets, square brackets, 0, 0, 0, and close all brackets. This converts the null's 3D position into 2D coordinates. Without it, the sun would move out of the blur's center. And copy this expression to your clipboard or paste it into a note file, as we'll be using it again. Go to Layer, New, Adjustment Layer, and rename this to Inversion. At least that's what Brady called it. Drag it down in the timeline so it's just above 3D Source. Then go to Effect, Distort, Displacement Map. Point the displace map to 3D Source with effects and masks. Set the horizontal displacement to 15 and the vertical to 75. But remember, some of these settings were for the fire moving upwards originally, so you should feel free to adjust them. You're not going to make the magic go away by making these both 25. Go back to the Effect menu and in Channel, select Solid Composite and set the color to black. We have a few effects later on that don't work quite right with alpha channels. Add a fractal noise effect to this adjustment layer, which for the moment undoes everything by replacing it with fractal noise. So in the effects blending mode, set this to Color Burn. Set the contrast to 35 and the brightness to 40. Don't change it, but expand transform and set a keyframe for the size. And let's add a time expression to the evolution, this time times 50. And playing that back, we're getting all sorts of cool, bubbling, I would say writhing, but I've already used that present participle. But let's keep going. Go to Effect, Distort, Turbulent Displace. Set the type to Twist Smoother. Set the amount to 20 and the size to 50. But hold Alt and click on the stopwatch and type value plus time times 3. This will keep the displacement moving outwards as the size increases, but gives you a starting amount. Do yourself a favour and set a keyframe for this so you can find it easily later. On offset, hold Alt and click on the stopwatch, then paste in the expression from earlier. Up the complexity to 7. And for evolution, add time times 50. This is giving us a lot of nice detail without having much detail to begin with. Last thing for this adjustment layer, set its transfer mode to exclusion. To explain why, here's Brady.
So this is one of those inversion blending modes that come in handy every once in a while, and it gives us this kind of negative glow thing happening.
Yeah, alright Brady, we get it. Dude cannot help but show how much smarter he is. With the changes that we've been making for a 0G fire, it doesn't have the same impact at this stage as it does in Texturelabs video, but we'll stick with it as it has changed the overall look. Now, create a new black comp size solid and call it Overlay. Drag it down to be above the inversion adjustment layer and go to Effect, Generate, Gradient Ramp. Make it a radial ramp, and use that copied expression from before for the start of ramp property. And for the end of ramp, hold Alt and click on its stopwatch and type var, we're creating a variable, rad, short for radius, but radius is used in expressions already, equals, then pick whip the first value in the start of ramp, semicolon, new line, open square brackets, rad plus 1000, comma, and pick whip the second value of start of ramp, close brackets. This expression is taking the center of our radius as the starting point, go 1000 pixels out from there for the horizontal, and because we need a second value, keep the height to the same value as the starting point. And just before we add the next effect, click Swap Colors so the center of the gradient is white. Next, add another fractal noise effect. Set the type to dynamic, but invert it, which gives us this cool electrical look. Up the contrast to 150, and in transform, increase the scale to 200, and add time times 100 to the evolution. And set the blending mode to overlay. To make this feel a bit less uniform and a bit more organic, go back to the inversion layer, select turbulent displace, and holding Ctrl tap C to copy it. Then back on the overlay layer, hold Ctrl and tap V to paste the effect. Hit reset on the effect, which undoes all the changes we've made on inversion, but keeps the expressions on offset and evolution. It's not being lazy, it's being smart. And lazy. Set the size to 30. Then set the layer's transfer mode to overlay. Create a new adjustment layer and name this one Colorize. It's really important to keep the U in there. I mean, it isn't, but you know, either you let me as a British person keep the U, or we'll come over to your country and nick some more monuments. On this layer, go to Effect, Color Correction, Levels. And I normally hate watching tutorials that talk about levels because it's so subjective, but this time we're only going to use it to drop the gamma to 0.8. Next, go back to color correction and this time add Colorama, and in output cycle choose Fire. And now go to Effect, Stylize, Glow, and up the radius to 300. And the amount to 2. But then change the glow colors to AB colors, and set A to a strong orange like FF6500, and B to a darkish red such as A91200. And that's it! If you find this red border a little too intense, then in Colorama right at the bottom, use the Blend with Original. And because we've built the whole project around a 3D source, you can swap out the original orb for any object. That's a pretty spooky looking portal, right? And I don't have a clue what that is. If your shot involves a dolly in with the camera so that you're getting closer, remember those keyframes we set back on the inversion layer? Select the layer and tap U to expose the keyframes. And there, turbulent displaces size. And you can also change the same layer's fractal noise transform, which also produces some cool results. It's up to you. I'd probably just keyframe these, but you could write an expression. That will really depend on what you have planned. And thank you for watching this tutorial. Giving the old like button a click would be much appreciated. Honestly, all the analysis says that YouTube factors in engagement rates above everything else, so it really helps my videos get shared with others. And I know I was making a few jokes about Texturelabs, but seriously Brady, I doubt you're watching this, but thank you. All your tutorials are amazing, and I've learned something new about After Effects in every one of them. Everyone else, if you're only prepared to hit subscribe to one YouTube channel today, then obviously subscribe to me. No question. But I will concede that Texturelabs might be a good second choice.